live. This is One for the Record. I'm Diana, and today is June 14th, 2014. And here are your news updates for today. I will be attaching Dr. Bill DEAGLE's NUTRIMEDICAL report, third hour. So, you might hear that first. I don't know yet. The Extinction Protocol 2012 and beyond. After 30 years, Hawaii's Mauna Loa volcano showing signs of stirring. Awakening seismic unrest reported at Alaska's remote Simisoponnoi volcano. Also, vast ocean lays under Earth mantle may be wellspring for world's oceans. Wow. Reminds me of Middle Earth and all that kind of stuff. Alright, moving on. Most important. The watchers watching the world. All our patents belong to you. All our patents belong to you. What kind of English is that? Tesla Motors releases all its patents to the public domain. Heads up, creative people. They have all patents to the public domain. They believe this way they think patents only stifle progress. So they want these electric cars out there. So all our patents belong to you. Tesla Motors releases all its patents to the public domain. Right on, I've been in one of those a long time ago when they were first making that. That was cool. What a cool little car. No noise. There's no noise. It's scary. You don't hear it driving down the street. Alrighty then. Cracks in Pluto's moon could indicate it once had an underground ocean. Heads up. Magnitude 6.4 earthquake struck off the coast of Cocos Island, South Indian Ocean. New evidence for oceans of water deep in the earth. Anomalous seismic activity reported at Simisoponnoi volcano, Alaska. So that's in Alaska. Alright, heads up on that. Heads up on the Tesla electric car. There you go. It's public domain. Right on. Alrighty then. Moving on. And I got kicked off. When I went to read it, it all froze up under Internet Explorer, so heads up on that. All of a sudden it's not going to work because they don't want people to see that. Now you heard it from me too. Alright. E&E news. Energy news. Excuse me. Japan. Fukushima. Japan paper. Horses became weak and died one by one from an unknown cause at farm in Fukushima. Farmer, there is something seriously wrong going on. This country is going mad. I'm sure something grave is going to happen. 14 out of 15 newborn horses last year died. Alrighty then. I don't know why they're acting like they don't know what's going on in Fukushima. Big boy, stop. Alrighty then. Well, it's one day down of the weekend, one to go. Be safe, heads up, and I will be attaching Dr. DEAGLE's NUTRIMEDICAL report. I believe this one is from Thursday. And it's not the whole thing. I'm trying to get into the earth changes. There's one little bit before it. But alrighty then, that's the best the editor could do for me. Alright, stay Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow on the flip side. Alrighty then.
If you look at the front page of Drudge, you'll see it says Baghdad is ready to fall. You know, this is nightmarish, and I don't think people realize how serious and significant it is. The fall of Baghdad is designed to be the bear trap for Russia and Iran to start this big war, and that means that Muhammad or Ali, who is a devout Muslim, doesn't really want to harm anybody, but he will follow orders. And he's going to get his prayer mat out before this refrigerator in Chicago or Atlanta or Los Angeles. And he's going to go to the lyophilized flask in the back, and he's got probably a master's level in infectious disease at some university, probably highly qualified. And he'll pull that vial out, and he's going to start spraying it. If this war gets going, you're going to see Americans dying like flies from stupid super weapons caused by our government having an idiot policy thinking that we can whack them, but they can't hurt us. And, of course, the same thing goes with our policy toward dealing with nuclear seismic testing, which shows most of our nuclear reactors can't withstand an earthquake, which we're going to talk about in a minute with Chris Harris, with Fukushima and with WIP reactors in Carlsbad, New Mexico, where we now have a report that Chris sent me. And, Chris, rather than steal your thunder, I want you to read it. We talked about it briefly earlier about the WIP reactor nuclear site and plutonium-239 actually causing a nuclear explosion. And, of course, the anonymous employee saying they put us in danger. Tell us about the WIP reactor and what's going on there.
Oh, Dr. Bill, well, in the WIP reactor, now remember, this report, there was a potential for the plutonium flash, which is a criticality event. I'm like I said, I haven't done the analysis on that myself. So let's go talk about what is. What is that the Department of Energy had a decision to cut back on the waste isolation pilot plant's safety requirements to save some money. And in that, they have also decided to make some changes to the packing material that's used in these highly radioactive waste drums, which contain plutonium salts. And they used an organic material instead of a non-organic material. And in fact, I was just talking it over today with one of my colleagues who is very esteemed in waste handling and waste processing. You know, we'll call him Barney for now. But he basically says, is that what they did? They put organic material in? That's a hydrogen explosion. And so, you know, in the presence,
but a hydrogen explosion can trigger criticality. Well, most people don't realize the Krytron switches that use C4 plastic, which is what they used to try to detonate the nuclear weapons back in the 1930s and 40s. They were actually using Krytron high-speed fast switches so they could simultaneously detonate and compress the ball of plutonium to create a nuclear explosion or criticality. When you have a hydrogen explosion, you can likewise create criticality, and what it does is it temporarily increases the neutron flux that causes a chain reaction, and that causes an explosion. So that's how it can happen. Hydrogen-triggered plutonium-239 nuclear explosions can be triggered by hydrogen, right?
That's right. Yeah, it all would depend, you know, whether they're going to achieve a critical mass or not. And there's like different categories of the criticality.
Yeah, but it may only be partial. Maybe it's not. It's not clean, so it's only like 2% of the total mass of plutonium. But enough flux occurs, you get what's called a neutron flux, and then of course it blows up the bomb and disperses all the isotopes all over hell's half acre. So this is what happened with these kitty litter, these green kitty litter from the Department of Energy and the Obama administration. They went green all right, but the green unfortunately was like the goblin from, Spider-Man. Yeah. The green was nuclear. It was bad idea. It was turning these things literally into cooking bombs. Crazy.
Yeah, and it didn't have to happen this way. And
right.
What I'm also finding is that what part of the cutbacks, well, they lost track of specific drums and their locations in big vaults known as panels.
Right.
And so you really don't know where all this material is. Well,
they didn't properly log it. In other words, they didn't log the material properly to be able to track it to which ones they modified with the new green kitty litter, did it?
No, I was, I was thinking, well, they have impeccable records, and it would be easy to...
You're hoping. You're hoping.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just know the way that we do things, and
the way they should be done.
It makes sense. It should be done right, and I guess I was wrong. That it's done in a more.
You guys are impeccable because you're the safety guys who come in to clean up the mess or do a proper evaluation. That's the next question. The seismic testing here in America with the NRC started by Jasco before he was replaced because he was opening too many cans of worms. What's happening there? They finished their evaluation of all these nuclear plants and said, guess what? They all fail, or we're going to study a lot more, or what's the outcome? What's going on with all these nuclear plants?
Several have failed outright where there's going to be modifications have to be made. I got to go ahead and write you a synopsis of those so that you have an idea. Others can be wished away, provided that there's enough analysis. Wished away is I guess that's a term we use, where you talk about sharpening the pencils and all that. However, it's still that's a lot of work in itself to sell that. You have to actually sell it that you are safe because you have this much margin of safety in the build of your plant. Well, that's... Well,
they should have data, though. I mentioned before they should have soil quality data on the structural integrity of welds, crystal data with basically X-ray and ultrasound of all the joints and welds and rivets. They should know the structural integrity of pipes that might be thinned out. They did a couple of years ago. They're actually trying to use a brush to clean out pipes in a nuclear reactor near Chicago. I'm trying to remember the name of the plant. I think we talked about this, and the actual brush went through the pipe. It's like, well, the brush should not go through the pipe. It actually punctured right through the wall of it, trying to clean it out.
Yes, it did.
What plant was that again?
I think that was Braidwood.
That's it, the Braidwood plant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're starting to build up a kind of a library. And by the way, this will be all in our book, which is going to include all the emails back and forth from Chris, all the analysis, other nuclear experts, plant pictures, diagrams, everything, and so we have actual site-specific engineering design things that can fix Fukushima. By the way, the other report that I have is that the ice wall, they're really starting to back off on the ice wall. What's the story there in Fukushima?
Okay, once again, I would talk to, like I say, a colleague of mine who is an expert in the area of cleanup, because he was on the 3 Mile Island cleanup project and all that. He is a renowned expert. And I said, well, what do you think of this ice wall? He just curled his lip and goes, nah, that's not going to get it. He's that kind of a guy. So he's very candid and very open. And I got to tell you what, he said what they need is cofferdams that you could pump out from in between the two dams. So it's a cofferdam is actually two dams in a row. And actually that makes a lot of sense to me. And so you could keep pumping out from in between these, so you build like a big cofferdam around the plant of a material that's not ice, if you know what I mean. It's going to be a more steel. It's going to be a real robust structure, and they haven't entertained that yet. But you're basically they're wasting their time with the ice walls, and plus the added negatives of shifting. Basically, liquefying material, liquefying the ground around it, where you can cause sinkholes and other, believe me, they don't need any more problems than they already have. And they can also create more problems with an ice dam.
Exactly, and of course the ice dam is supposed to be above it. They should use Starlight, which I mentioned. I got the original information from Dr. Ron Klatz, head of A4M. Starlight will stand 15 to 20,000 degree temperatures, is radiation resistant, won't crystallize and break down. And they put a Starlight dam above it. They could divert the water away from the plant. Then they can set a seawall below it, filter that material out, turn it into solid radioactive waste, dispose of it in double-hulled ships, taking it away to it. Zinc mine is the deepest mine possible.
Uranium, what do you do with any of it? It's all poisonous, but...
Yeah. Welcome back, and we have more than 50% of the fuel rod assemblies transferred. That's 1,034 out of 1,533. Kristen, these fuel rod assemblies, they've managed to get the easy ones. They're going to have more difficulty with the harder ones, and also the problem is, as you mentioned before, the seal on the overall fuel rod pool, cooling pool number 4. The common cooling pool they haven't touched. And of course, the reactors 1, 2, and 3 they really can't touch. So this mess isn't going to go away. And Aquarium is probably 75 feet at least, or 25 meters below the plant. It's generating highly radioactive or tritiated water, which is superheated. It's generating criticality, which emerges from the ground and shoots neutron beams, which turn the air blue with beams of gamma rays that literally ionize the nitrogen. You can see blue beams above the Fukushima plant in the after sundown. This situation is extremely unstable, and I don't know where they're getting people, but after a period of time, these people get so sick they have to get new people. I guess the Yakuza and the supply them with enough people willing to do these things that are, in a sense, committing radioactive suicide. We have specific plans that we talked about to fix each of these areas. And the first thing is a starlight wall above it to divert the water. The second is to put in a sealed seawall area below it to catch all the water before it goes out in the ocean. It's also to make sure they use ground-penetrating radar and block off all the steam vents that actually are superheated steam driving vented radioactive hot tritiated steam out toward the ocean floor that vents radiation across the ocean floor, which they could do with GPR, ground-penetrating radar. I think that they need